All of us are familiar with the dangers of the digital world: identity theft, cyberbullying, and harassment. The possibility of exposing children to unsuitable content. The list is pretty long and it can be overwhelming. So we spoke to leading cybersecurity experts and they have given us internet safety rules that everyone can follow. Listen in.
Emails, social network accounts, banking, and online shopping. We spend more time online than we realize. Most of us may not keep a tab on everything we're doing while we're using the internet. But guess what? Hackers are tracking us. They monitor every move and try to exploit users whenever they can.
If you look at how, even for big companies, how a lot of crooks get in is via the means of what we call phishing. That's phishing with a PH. That's where the crooks, they basically cast a lure, usually by email, and they either threaten you, oh, you need to do this, your bank account's going to close, your email's full, click this link, or they offer to help you. Hey, we see you ordered this thing for 900 rupees, $8, £6 or whatever. If you wish to cancel, and of course you do because you didn't order it, click here. Or they just claim to have something that's too good to be true, like, wow, the latest cryptocurrency investment. And the idea is they're phishing, they're luring you to click a link. They take you to a page usually that looks like a website you're familiar with. Everything looked familiar, except that the URL, the page you were on at the top, was different. And so what the crooks want you to do is they trick you into trusting them. So you give away a little bit of information about yourself, email, phone number, name, address, and worst, possibly your password. So that's the thing to look out for. If you get a link in an email and you have no idea what it is, don't click it just out because you're inquisitive. Don't click it because you're scared. If in doubt, don't give it out.
With cyber crimes increasing at an alarming pace, internet users are becoming more and more vulnerable. What should we do to protect ourselves? The answer is to stay alert, but that alone doesn't guarantee safety. So, adopt some best practices that can save you from falling prey to hackers.
People are fairly bad at choosing passwords. They'll choose their dog's name or their cat's name or their girlfriend's name or their auntie's name or something like that.
Stay away from casual pet names. All those will be used by attackers the very first thing. I really focus on the complexity of the password. And by that, I usually mean the length of the password in conjunction with different types of characters. So uppercase letters, lowercase letters, special characters, exclamation points, question marks, and mixing alphanumeric. Make sure you put some numbers in there.
What I would recommend to people who struggle with passwords, and many people do because you have so many accounts, a password manager is a program that looks after your passwords for you. Now that does mean that you kind of have a suitcase with all your passwords in, and if someone gets the key to the suitcase, then they can get all your passwords. So you do need to memorize a good, strong, solid password for your password manager. But what a password manager does is, A, it will not let you use the same password on more than one account. B, a computer can remember 20 random characters as easily as you can remember your auntie's name, so it picks a random strong password. And C, perhaps most importantly, password managers, they're not smart about thinking, hey, that looks like your banking site, I'll put in your banking password. They associate a password with a URL, with a website. So if you go to a fake website, they just can't help you. They literally cannot help you. So it makes it very difficult for you to put the right password into the wrong site.
I would stress the use of multi-factor or two-factor authentication. Don't want to get overly techie with this, but A multi-factor authentication, which is available for most applications and systems out there, simply is a combination of two factors, meaning something that you know, which is your password, and something that you have, which may be a one-time password that's sent to your cell phone.
Strong passwords and a two-step verification process can protect your account. But there's a lot more that people should be considering when browsing online, especially when sending or receiving money.
You are entering a financial transaction online at any website. It should start off with HTTPS and not just HTTP, because that S on the end of that means it's secure. It's a secure connection. If it doesn't have an HTTPS on it, you should not be entering your financial transaction information on there.
What I do recommend is, if you're faced with a choice between an app and the browser on your mobile phone, then I would suggest that the app is probably safer for you, and the crooks know this, because the problem with a browser on a mobile phone is everything's so cramped. You can't read the whole URL.
Because you can use it through, a Google Chrome browser, you can use it through Google Pay, you can use, Venmo, PayPal, there's a multitude that are out there that you can use. But the more places you put your personal information, or more places you put your banking information, that is leaving you more vulnerable, because you now, have the impact of any of those institutions get hacked, you could be vulnerable to that. My suggestion is to choose one of those methods and stick with it.
The main thing with online banking is don't let anybody threaten you, trick you, cajole you, persuade you into visiting a site that looks like your bank when it isn't.
You can never be too vigilant online, not just while using our own devices, but also when we are connected to devices that belong to other people. We are talking about public Wi-Fis, networks that people immediately connect to when it's not password protected. Hackers can gain access to a public Wi-Fi network and infiltrate connected devices. The result can be disastrous.
The number one thing is to not use public Wi-Fi if you can help it.
If you do want to use public Wi-Fi, the most important thing to remember is you can't really trust the access point, even if you trust the shop, because who knows who looks after it.
If you do have to use a true public Wi-Fi, try to use a trusted one and pay attention specifically to the SSID, right? The SSID is that Wi-Fi name that is being broadcasted. A lot of hackers, fraudsters out there will have a Wi-Fi name that looks almost exactly like the actual name. Just throw an example out there, if it's McDonald's, they will have a Wi-Fi name out there that says McDonald, right, without the S on it. That will fool a lot of people that will actually just look at it and go, oh, here's an open connection, I'm going to connect with McDonald's, when they actually didn't, right? They connected to McDonald, not McDonald's. That is definitely one of the key ways that that hackers can make sure they kind of impersonate a legitimate public account to be able to get in.
My advice is, if you're going to do anything over public Wi-Fi, say in a coffee shop, then what you need to do is make sure that you only ever go to secure websites. And most browsers these days will warn you quite strongly if you have an unencrypted website. You'll see a little lock with a line through it.
The last thing I will say about that too is that if you have the opportunity to use a VPN, a virtual private network, when you're connecting to that public Wi-Fi, connect to the public Wi-Fi, then immediately connect to a VPN service. That will allow you to establish a secure encrypted tunnel, if you will, between your computing device and that server, so that way whenever you're searching out and wherever you're going to online cannot be kind of snooped on, if you will, from that public Wi-Fi location.
In this day and age, when social media addiction is becoming more commonplace, how can we not talk about its dangers? Social networks have proven to be effective platforms for miscreants to conduct sophisticated cyber attacks, be it romance scams, clickbait scams, or lottery scams.
So the thing with social media scams is a lot of them come from people you know because their account's been hacked. A great example, it's called, you've probably seen it, Is It You in the Video? It's such a simple trick. The crooks break into your buddy's account, then they send from that account to all the friends they can a little message saying, "Is it you in the video?" That's all it says. And then there's a video, but it won't play because it isn't a video. It's just a black image with a triangle on it. And so obviously you're going to think, "Oh, well, I wonder what that is." So you're going to reply, and you're going to reply to your buddy and say, "What was that all about?" And suddenly whoever's at the other end has got your trust. And they're going to say, "Oh, golly, I don't know what went wrong with it. Try this link or do this instead."
A lot of these social media, you'll get, an ad that'll pop up and go, "Hey, you can buy a brand new car, you can get a brand new jacket," and all these great sales that are out there. And the truth of the matter is, you have no idea who you're dealing with on the other side. And the old saying, which we've all heard before, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Don't assume that just because social networks and instant messaging work with closed groups, that you can automatically trust every user in that group. And even more importantly, don't assume that you can trust every account in that group.
The world of internet is far more dangerous for minors than for adults. Cyber criminals can lure children in many ways and even lead them to a dark world. It's really important for parents to not only look after their own safety, but also to pay due attention to what their children are up to in the digital world. But do it responsibly.
Try to encourage them to use the internet in your presence.
Monitor as much as you can what your children are doing online.
Have parental controls that allow you to create 2 separate accounts on your own computer, one for adults so that you can do basically anything you like, and another for kids, which will limit, for example, the websites they're allowed to visit. And you can make that list longer and longer as they get older.
There are lots of tools out there that can put filters in place so you can have age-appropriate content, age-appropriate range of sites that they can actually gain access to, because there are attacks that are out there that are specifically designed for children. Also, I would say, take the time to make sure you educate your children, or find resources that are out there if you don't feel that you are knowledgeable enough to educate them.
When it comes to staying safe online, the to-do list is never ending. The safety tips we have shared with you are just the start. But these will guide you in the right direction.